the Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 10, the Legend Series. And as I am every week, I'm joined by our resident legend, the man, the myth, the incomparable, Coach Ed Gafka, the Executive Director of the Georgia Firehead Coaches Association. Coach, thanks for being on with me.
As always, happy to be here and happy that we finally got to the point of the regular season starting.
Yeah, we started off the regular season last week, and with the Corky Kell Classic, we had Brookwood with a big win, we had South Gwinnett with a big win, and we had the game of the season so far. I know it's only been 1 week, but that Roswell-Walton game was a good one, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the Corky Kell games have been ass, right? Like they just haven't been good. But what do you expect when the bill to go and play in the dome is, around $40K to do it, and you got to raise some of that money? Or if you're like Lanier, you just try to get, sponsors to pay for it, and then when that doesn't work, you go to everybody else, in the school and say, hey, we really need some help here. So more power to you. I just know that if I'm going to pay to play at the Dome, or if I'm going to pay to go and play at Kell High School or any of these other satellite locations, I got to tell you, I really don't want to get my ass beat. But, if I'm going to pay $40,000 to be in the Dome, 18 to 20 grand to play at Kell High School on a Wednesday afternoon in August, I got to tell you, I would really like to say that what else is the other benefit besides maybe you get to be on TV, great, awesome. I don't know if that's worth $18,000 to me, but to each their own. I thought the Roswell-Walton game was obviously a very competitive game. I think Roswell figured out some complimentary football there because 14-0, and then once that pick six happened, the game just kind of flipped on its head a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think between that and then I think Brookwood and Cambridge, the unfortunate thing is, I mean, that's 2 classification difference. And, talking with Tyler there at Cambridge, he knew the challenge they were going to have just simply because of what they graduated. And, Brookwood comes in and, yeah, there's not a single player on Cambridge that if you line them all up in a straight line and we're picking teams in PE, you don't pick a Cambridge kid for about 73 picks. So I think it's just a very unique matchup there. But yeah, so I'm glad that we have live football on. I think that it's definitely I've got the McEachern-Kell game. The background of McEachern has just absolute creatures. Kell's not a bad football team. This McEachern team is very, very good. But yeah, so happy that we're finally at this point in the season now.
We got it's one thing I wanted you to talk about a little bit more was the prohibitive cost of playing in the Corky Kell Classic, and you named it a game not for the poors. I didn't realize how much it cost. I didn't realize that's what they charged. I didn't realize Kell had to pay money to let people use their own place. I didn't realize that people were charging $42 a ticket to go watch a high school game in the Georgia Dome. I wouldn't pay $42 a ticket to watch the Falcons in the Mercedes-Benz, much less a high school team.
No, I mean, and I don't know if you saw, I got sent the ticket cost by somebody that was going up there with their girlfriend from South Georgia. They could just come up and cover some of the games. And he sent me the text, and I said, is that for 2 or 1? He said, that is for 1 ticket. $42. So $84 for you to bring a +1. Yeah, that's an expensive ass date night. That's a lot of Outback Steakhouse. You know what I mean? Like that is a lot. And I'm not going to go and spend my money. $41, $42 for a ticket to that. I better be getting a shirt included. I better be getting a meal included. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe they did include a meal. Maybe that's a drink package. I don't know. Did it come with an open bar after that? I mean, my God, for $42, I should be getting the red carpet rolled out. But instead, I'm sure I'm just going to be ushered in like cattle and made to sit in some very specific seating, and and have to watch a very terrible football game because IJ Rosenberg decided he's just going to find a way to find teams that just have not a lot of appeal, but they have deep enough pockets to pay to be there. So there we go.
Yeah, there is that, and that seems to be the reason that the teams are in it. I used to think that it was a prestigious thing that, they picked, you know, good matchups or whatever and things like that. And now that I understand the total cost of it, there's no way. I mean, you've pretty much priced most of Middle and South Georgia out of it. Not that there aren't people in Middle and South Georgia that have money, but for a one-time shot for a game that doesn't really mean anything, other than game one of the season, I can't see too many people doing that. We also had the second week of scrimmages last week. We had scrimmage games across the state, even though the regular season had started with the Corky Kill. And this
Oh,
week,
well, and before you jump off of that, let's not glaze over the fact that if you're at one of these satellite, like Kel's hosting right now, and from what I've been told by some others that have hosted in the past and a host school this year, uh, the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic is also going to send your ass a bill too for about $9,000 to host at your place. I got to tell you, they could ball that up in a real tight ball and turn it sideways and shove it up their ass. I'm not paying that. Just not doing it. So, I'm not, again, just in no world does that make sense, but to each their own.
yeah, that goes into the cost and how bad it is, and people really not people that don't know, and I didn't know. I mean, I'm ignorant to a lot of things, but I was definitely ignorant about that. Did not realize there's no way as the host school that I'd be paying you to let you use my place. That doesn't make sense to me. But the scrimmages we had last week, we still had people scrimmaging. I know we scrimmaged Toombs. I got bad news for the group and everybody in AAA. They're very good, not because they beat us, but just because I saw them in person. I saw them on the hoof. They are impressive. Their size, their box is very, very good. They're good enough on offense. It was their first scrimmage. Special teams were live and things like that. But there are a lot of other scrimmages across the state. And the scoreboard show kicked off again a week two for you guys and getting your scoreboard show going and using the scrimmage and the Corky Kill as a platform to jump off into this first week.
Yeah, and again, with this upcoming Friday, we'll go live at 10. We will have Bobby May from Kell on in the first. He'll take up about the first 15, 20 minutes there while the games are rolling final, and then at about 10:30 until about 11:30, 11:45, we will have just rapid fire coaches from all around the state calling in and give a little just a little game summary. Not only just coaches, but some fans in some of these places, as well as some reporters and other members of the media that have reached out and said that they'd be down to do that. So appreciate them. And ultimately, I just think it's a way for everybody across the state to kind of hear a little bit about what's going on in the state as everything comes to fruition. So excited to do it. My biggest request is that when I send the link to people, if y'all will type in your name, so I'm not flying blind on who I'm letting in, that would be ideal. But outside of that, just excited about being able to bring that to you guys and have all the scores on the screen so you guys can all go to one place and see exactly what the scores are. If you know of other scores or you see a score on there that I haven't put, feel free to shoot me a DM, text me, find a way to get it to me. That way I can make sure I have it on there because chances are I'm going to have a lot going on, but I try to keep everything up to date as best I can.
Yeah, it's a big, tall order, tall task. It's a tough thing to do, and I'm glad you're doing it. You do a great job with it. You're way more reliable and better served to serve coaches, as far as I'm concerned, than any of the other ones, and it's, a little bit further reaching than some of the other ones. They're a little bit more. It's just not like the way it used to be when Coach Palmer used to do it, but
Well, up in North Georgia, we had the Ted Taylor show, right? And Ted Taylor is based out of Stevens County, and he always did a great job of getting those guys jumping in every Friday from all around Northeast Georgia, Region 8, Region 7, and that's just a core memory that I think I would love to see come back. I think if there's one thing that I can definitively say that you're going to get from Jay Reed and myself on there is yeah, no, neither one of us pretend to be legitimate media personnel or personalities of any kind, journalists. And maybe that's why it's appealing because the reality is what we're going to do is, some of these games that surprise us, we're definitely going to have some conversation about it and commentary about it. And if here's the thing, if we're watching your game on an FHS and you suck ass, we're probably going to just say, yeah, no, they sucked ass tonight. I think that that's as good of a breakdown as you can hope for at times, right? Like I do think that being honest goes a long way, but it doesn't mean that you're a terrible coach. It just means like time wasn't your night. And instead of like calling into somebody who does have the journalistic integrity, they're going to try to say, "Well, coach, tough night. What do you guys need to do to get better?" I'm probably just going to say, boy, how can you get some more kids in there and make that shit not happen again? You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be tough. But our T's and P's, thoughts and prayers are with you every Friday from here on out. So you won't find a bigger fan of each one of these coaches. Even Jonathan Guest, you too, buddy. I'm here for you. Just let me know anytime. Happy to help.
And speaking of not being a professional journalism, you were recognized with your work over the past year by the SI.com people. The article, it was fantastic. It was awesome. Got a plug for the podcast as well. That was cool. And I appreciate that. But I just thought the guy did a great article, and that's pretty cool that after a year you're getting out there into the world where the people of Sports Illustrated have taken notice.
Yeah, and I thought, whenever that I was approached about, possibly them doing a story on it, I vividly remember telling Jay Pace, the writer, like it has got to be a very slow news cycle for you to kind of come slumming here with an account that honestly is very niche to a degree and all that stuff. But credit to him for definitely having a bigger picture look at things and I guess seeing what he would deem as the value of it. I think that he definitely definitely told the story, and I definitely want to shout out to Coach Ben Reeves, Coach Dean Fabrizio, um, Phil Jones at ITG Next, yourself for obviously being willing to have those conversations with Jay Face at Sports Illustrated. But I do find it funny that the biggest naysayers are people that disagree with anything that I've ever put out for whatever reason. They always come at me with, well, you can't be satire and news. Um, and I got to tell you, not only have I defended that multiple times by saying, here's the thing, it's my account. I can kind of do whatever the hell I want to do. So, you also don't have to follow me. So there is that. But then again, uh, if you don't believe me, don't take my word for it. Take it from Sports Illustrated. Do you not trust them? So that's my thing. I think that not only does it provide an opportunity to knock some off their high horses, but it also allows, what if again, if you had told me that Sports Illustrated was writing something about you know anything that I'm a part of, I would have laughed and probably, I mean, not even not even been in the reality of what it was. I would have said it was been for like a scandal of some kind, to be honest with you. Like, you know, what happened? Where was I, and what was my involvement level here? But I'm very thankful for obviously everybody, you know, enjoying it, and you know, we'll keep cranking it out as long as everybody keeps enjoying it, because you know, I know that right now it just seems like we're on a good trajectory, and hell, if I can make it my full time job, I will. But you know, daddy got to pay the bills, so you know, we I can be bought. I'm just not cheap. So you know, let's see what we can figure out there. But no, it was definitely an honor, and I appreciate JPay Sports Illustrated for being willing to do that, and for you know, giving a platform to it. And shout out to Josh Niblett being on in there too. Again, I think that we just don't give him enough credit for all the things that he has provided over the last year. We wish him nothing but the best in Boulder. So I look forward to reconnecting with him soon.
And speaking of things that got to pay the bills, coaches, if your team needs to raise money, check out Scoreboard Fundraising. In the past year, they've helped more than 1,000 teams across the Southeast run simple, effective fundraisers, from popcorn to online donations. Call Mike James at 770-680-3424 or visit scoreboardfundraising.com. A lot of teams I know are using these guys. Heck, we used them at Dodge County and raised more money than we ever have with any other fundraiser we've done. We probably didn't do as good as Mike wanted us to do, but we did very well for us. And again, that's Mike James at 770-680-3424. I'm actually going to be recording with Mike next week. He's going to tell his story and where he grew up and all that other stuff, like I do with the regular coaches. And he's going to share, you know, what they do and everything else. So he'll be a couple of weeks. He'll be the episode during the Legend series, and can't wait to have them on. And so glad that they're our title sponsor here at Sun Coaches Podcast for the next 3 seasons. And well, Coach, you talked about we talked about the start of the season, all this other stuff. Now we actually have your meat and potatoes, the things that one of the things that you're most known for, I think, over the past year, and they're always bangers. You're already started with the real games coming up in the past 2 weeks with game notes.
Absolutely, and you know, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that Buford and Gainesville were the Form B, the GHSA Form B game of the week. Um, you know, I again, like I told you off air, I don't know if there's just a easier, like that's a slow pitch softball dinger for me, right? Like that's a hit in the Louisville Slugger logo on the bat. Just, I mean, that's just right in my wheelhouse to be able to you know, pull the pin in the grenade, throw it in there, shut the door, just you know, just wait for people to start getting after each other. And then obviously we have the Sophie's Choice game of the week, and you know, when my wife asked me, "What does that mean?" You know, and I'm like, you know, I've been doing this now a year, and you know, clearly she loves what I do, right? Taking a super big interest in it. But so I did have to explain to her that the Sophie's Choice game of the week is obviously an impossible choice. It is based on what was turned into a movie, but a mother basically has a choice, and both choices, she has 2 kids, and either choice is a bad choice because it's going to kill the other one, right? So basically, there's no good answer. There's no good that comes of attending this game. There's nothing about this game that makes you happy. So yeah, it's the Sophie's Choice game of the week, and that's why we have it sponsored by Lexapro. So you can really, so you can make sure that your mental health is in check for that. And shout out to Coach Tester and Coach Drayton at Northview and Johns Creek. They understand the joke, right? They understand, hey, yeah, from the outside looking in, definitely, this is not one of all the games that are happening in week 1. unless you just really love Johns Creek and Northview, you're probably not going to that football game, right? You're not going to that football game. So what do? They understand that and they go, hey, we are actually viewing this as more of a hey, our goal is to become a Form B game of the week down the road, and I'm all for it. I hope so. That is what my hope for anybody that is a Sophie's Choice game of the week this year. I hope that's what happens down the road. Then, we put out the Thomas County Central and Colquitt County game, which is I honestly I forgot what game of the week I named that. I think it had something to do with the fact that they had it's a GHSA hardship committee game of the week. Because both of those had quarterbacks that were pitched in front of there and ultimately ended up winning. So they're undefeated, just like myself against the GHSA. So between that one and then on a normal week, I will probably have definitely a GHSA game of the week, the Sophie's Choice game of the week, and maybe a third one. For the first week, though, I will have a fourth one coming out probably at some point when y'all are listening to this today. And that will be the North Oconee and Oconee game, which again got a couple names for what game of the week that is. Every single one is slightly less offensive. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there to where there's not going to be as many people that can be mad at me. But looking forward to that one, and just a teaser there. I mean, will I mention the fact that David Pollock is a definition of a backpack coach? Absolutely, absolutely. Will it also mention the fact that he has been known to wear a headset out of camps? Absolutely. Who the shit does that, right? Like, let's be an adult. Let's do that. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure and standing in mind to David Pollock for any time he would like to have a discussion with me or anything. Looking forward to his reading of it. I look forward to it being sent to him. But yeah, so that's what we got cranking out this week, and obviously we enjoyed doing it because the amount of people that a lot of this touches in terms of like Thomas County Central and Colquitt County. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that again, a lot of people put a bunch of stuff on Facebook. So the material's there. Now it's just how do we slow cook that thing over the off season and get ready to bust it out when it's needed because those two fan bases are very, very passionate. And just like I've said before, you can tell a lot about the intelligence of a person by how much they post in Facebook groups. And it's not great, you know. Unless it's like the Harvard alumni Facebook group, which even then I gotta say, if you're the one that's posting the most in that, you're probably the dumbest Harvard alumni, right? Like I think that's probably the equation there. So you're either the dumbest Harvard alumni in the Harvard alumni group, or if you're in the, you know, Talk That Talk 229 group down there and you're posting the most, I mean, chances are you're still like a platinum elite member and you got a damn swing set on layaway at Kmart still. So let's pump the brakes. But yeah, so excited for the season to get cranking and for people to take offense to some tongue in cheek things on game notes.
Always my favorite, one of my favorite things that you do, and that's the game notes. They're always fantastic. They're funny. They're comical. They're stuff that again we all say. Not everybody will admit to it, but we all, we see it. We think it's funny, or at least I do, and really that's all I care about is what I think is funny. But what I don't think is funny is some of these games we've got coming up in week 0. You've already touched on Buford and Gainesville, Thomas County Central and Colquitt. You got North Oconee and Oconee, Creekside versus Clay Chalkville out of Alabama. We're gonna I'm gonna throw some games out there, Coach, and see what you think as far as on those three. Who you got?
So run through those three one more time.
Buford, Gainesville.
Uh, I don't think Newkirk plays. If Newkirk plays, I say Gainesville, but if Newkirk doesn't play, Buford. And if it's not if they don't win by enough, there'll already be people calling for Appling Shell because those people are insane.
Um, Creekside, Clayville, Chalkville, Clayville, however you say it.
Yeah, Clay Chalful. Both teams are coming off 15-0 seasons. Both teams are excellent, honestly. But I'm gonna listen. I talked with Maurice Dixon the other day, and really it was more of a wellness check because I don't know if you've seen a picture of him or an interview of him recently. My guy has lost like 150 pounds. I mean, he went from just just a big dude to somebody that looks like hell. He might wake up on Thanksgiving and run a damn turkey trot. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's getting after it. But I think that what he feels about this team, who they have coming back, and everything, I'm going to lean Creekside, just because I think I've got a lot of faith in Coach Dixon there. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with them.
Okay, how about well your game notes go over most of some of these other ones, but what about I'm looking down the list, Cairo and Thomasville.
Oh goodness. Problem is, I think I'm slanted based on watching K Row against Thomas County, right, in the scrimmage, and I know that that's not fair. Uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Thomasville though. I'm gonna go with Thomasville because I like their uniforms.
Okay, that's a bold pick. It's always rivalry games. That's what's neat about week one in Georgia. Sometimes the rivalry games are played first. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're played at the very end of the season. But Cairo Thomasville's a big rivalry game. I know Bill.
Or you could have the Lowndes playing Jenkins Savannah. Who do you think's winning that one?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. You got Coffee and Parkview. What do you think about Coffee versus Parkview?
Two coaches that I really like. I think that's got potential to be the best game of this opening stretch. If I'm being honest, two teams that have different strategies offensively. Um, I think Adam Clack does a heck of a job. I think he's very intelligent. I think that everybody at Coffee is ready to. They're a year older than they were last year. Um, you know, give me. Is that at Parkview? Is that at Center Park Stadium, Old Turner Field?
That I do not know.
I can't. If it's at Parkview, give me Parkview. If it's at Center Park, give me Coffee.
Okay. I got one that you don't need to comment on because you won't care or know anything about, but a big game in the South Georgia area is Fitzgerald's going to go down to Clinch County, and it should be the fastest game that's played Friday night. It should last almost exactly 48 minutes plus whatever halftime is because the forward pass is probably going to be optional, but that should be a really good game.
Yeah, and I imagine that's going to be played on the front steps of hell. How hot it's going to be. So get that thing done fast. I agree.
So let's see. I'm looking down, trying to find interesting games that may be up there in your neck of the woods that would be worthy of week one. Well, here's one: Marist at Woodward Academy. That's a conflict of styles.
Yeah, and what do you think the average household income for both those teams are? You know what I mean, I'm going to lean Maris though, just because Alan Chadwick's going to. I mean, he's had all off season to prepare for it, so get ready for that. I mean, so yeah, I'm going to lean Marist.
Sounds good. So those are some of the games, just a few of the games that are going to be featured in this first week of Georgia High School. Kicks off the season, and one team that's going to be able to kick off the season coming off of a win against the Georgia High School Association, which brings your record to 2-0. The kicker that came from IMG that's at Milton was this week. He was ruled eligible by the GHSA, and I know you have something to say about that.
I would just like to uh, can I what at what point do I get like a medal from the GHSA for being undefeated against them? Because and then here's the other thing. It's not like what I put out about each situation was slanted in terms of like hiding anything or anything at all. It was just a common sense, like, hey, this is what the situation is, and these are the exact rules that you are applying here. Tell me how that is. And to me, this situation with the kicker from IMG, you had to be so, there's so many levels of stupid that you have to be to allow it to drag on this long. I feel like, I feel like, there's just no reason to put a family and a kid through that just because I again it's almost like you listen to maybe some outside factors at times that just don't actually have any proof, and that's concerning. So I'm very happy for the kicker. I'm very happy for his family. I think that it was the right decision. If it was something that was even remotely close to being, on the line 50-50 of it, it's kind of a hit or miss just based on timeline. Because that, you talk about people who did get ruled ineligible. The kid that transferred from Northside to Perry got ruled ineligible, and that came down to timeline. I mean, that's all that came down to. There is no, uh, you know, if they came to me and asked me, "Hey, would you want to write something on this to help our case?" I probably would have sat there and said, "Guys, based on all the facts here, it's not. I mean, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. I can't. I don't have a time machine, so I can't help you." But when it's very cut and dry, like both of the situations with Aiden McPherson and Ryan Jung, like yeah, I mean to me that's just common sense customer service, right? Like that's and you save yourself at the GHSA a lot of headaches if that's how you operate. But as we've all come accustomed to realize, getting them to that point is infuriating.
Well, we know they don't operate under that premise because we wouldn't be playing football with the record heat that we've had this last 2 weeks. I mean, not record heat, but it's been really hot for 2 weeks straight, about 10 days without a break, and it's a simple fix. Common sense customer service, as you like to say. How about let's quit dancing around the fact that we count backwards from the availability of the Mercedes Benz with our state championships, and then we set the season and we manipulate the season however we need to make that work out time wise, whether it's add an extra bye week or whatever it is we need to do to make that happen. But we care about the kids. We do care about the kids. So a lot of people in the state this week have been introduced to what we've been doing since I've been at Dodge, and that's 6 a.m. practices. You practice in the morning, you ain't got to worry about getting banged because of you might get a random shower every now and then. Very, very, very seldomly is there a thunderstorm, lightning in the area in the mornings, and the temperature is almost in the Goldilocks zone. But this playing in the heat, I mean, we watched today. It's Wednesday. We got a little late on the recording this week, but we just watched Clark Central play Pebblebrook in the Corky Kell, and kickoff times at 4:30, Coach.
Yeah, and that's what you made the comment that everybody's out there trying to protect the kids and all that stuff. It's funny, except on game days, right? On game days, we don't care about the wet bulb, right? Um, which I find to be very unique. I think that where we can control the hydration level, we can control a bunch of different aspects of it during during a game more so, or uh, we can control their hydration and everything in practice a lot better than a game, because game flow and stuff like that in practice, I can blow the whistle and we can go over there and make sure we got water bottles behind holes, we got you know everything going on that we need to, tent set up, whatever. But on game day, we're gonna kick off at 4:30, 5 o'clock. What are we doing? I mean, the hottest point and the hottest time of day, that's when we decide that we're gonna kick this off. While other teams, like, a team that's like right next to Kell in that part of the state, and they're practicing today, guess what? They weren't able to go out there and practice because of wet bulb. So make that make sense. Tell me how that is even remotely, um, in the realm of common sense, right? But I get it. There's bad operators and dumb coaches that take advantage of rules, and but they make rules based on the outliers at times, to where, like, yeah, there's stupid coaches who limit water and other aspects because they think they're making their kids tougher. Um, you're an idiot. So, those are the people that don't deserve the right to coach. But, you know, when you make rules based off outliers instead of what trust the coaches to be responsible adults, right? Like, that's all I'm asking. Just trust them to be responsible adults. Um, but yet we're gonna go based off the wet bulb that our lovely trainer who doesn't like wrapping ankles or anything, because God forbid they do their job for 5 seconds. Um, you know, it's tough deal for everybody involved. So I hate it.
Well, here's the part that I don't know if you heard this story that came out of Middle Georgia. There was an incident at one of the local high schools in the middle Georgia area, big town. 75 runs through it, and they did all the documentation. They did the wet bulb, and they had an unfortunate situation. Young man was stricken by the heat. And the Georgia High School Association said, well, we don't really care about your paperwork because the Doppler weather information that we have from Doppler says that this was in fact the reading, and so it really doesn't matter. That's what we're going to go by. So what are we doing? If that's the case, why can't they put out a blanket statement to the state and say, whether it's from this part of the state down or here up or whatever, due to our all the technology we have, Doppler says that today is unsafe for you to be out there doing any kind of athletics, whether it's football or softball or cross country. What all's going on right now? Y'all ain't going outside, period. Bang your games, do whatever you got to do. Do not put those children out there. Why can't we just do that?
Well, because then you run the risk of, all right, in August, what happens? I could be in one town and then 5 miles over, somebody else in another town, and I'm getting that lovely afternoon thunder shower, right? And it cools down for an hour, right? That's the problem, right? It's if you could consistently have that, or have access to a Doppler indicator statewide that says, "Hey, yeah, y'all are good to go out now." Great, but problem is you're also hoping that people. What you learn is nobody cares as much as we do about the kids, the practice, their ability to practice and get acclimated to that heat, like we do. So what you run into is a bunch of people half-assing their jobs, and this would be another indication of that if that's what ended up happening.
Well, that's what we've got going on in the state this week, of the first week of Georgia high school football kicking off. I know last week actually started, but this is the official week 0. Games are slated this week. Coach, what you got on the slate for this week? What you doing Friday night other than the scoreboard show?
Other than the scoreboard show, I'm gonna be surfing around, see what games are going on, and hopefully we're able to get everything up and running pretty quickly. But yeah, just excited to see these games play out. Obviously, watching the McKeithen Kill game right now, and then I know we have games tomorrow as well. So we're finally cranking it up, and looking forward to doing that. And if you are able to you know, call in on Friday, or would be open to it. Anybody on your staff that would be somebody that, 'cause again, it's 5 minutes. You're going to get a question from me and a question from Jay Reed. Probably it's just, hey, tell us how game went. Um, just give us the cliff notes there, and represent your program well, and we'll definitely do the same for y'all. But yeah, feel free to DM me, or reach out to Coach Lamb if you don't have my information. He's got the green light to pass along anything on my side. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then on Saturday we will obviously have the morning after overreactions about some of the things that we see on Friday. So again, don't take offense to it. Some of you probably can take offense to it. That's fine. But just know that it's an overreaction for a reason. So that's the one day that we're allowed to overreact to stuff. So we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it big.
Well, as always, Coach, I thank you for being on with me. I thank all the listeners that tune in every week and continue to enjoy your brand of foolishness that we put out there, and remind everybody to like, subscribe, and share, and to relax. It's just satire, mostly.